Hi everyone, it's your favorite Atomic Blonde here with a Pop Chat special. First of all, hope you're all well, you're doing good. As I said on my previous reviews, I went to go see Scream 7 this weekend, yesterday in fact. So here's my review of Scream 7. Which also makes me feel incredibly old. For those who are around for the original Scream, like myself, which was obviously 1996, so this is like the 30th anniversary of Scream, which really, relaunched the horror genre. Directed by the amazing Wes Craven, who I think is sorely missed, taken from us way too soon. Obviously, if you know this channel, you know I'm a fan of sort of Nightmare on Elm Street, and the Dream Warriors. Obviously, the subsequent sequels, diminishing returns, shall we say? But you cannot take away that Wes relaunched the horror film twice. First with A Nightmare on Elm Street, and then with Scream, which very 90s in the sense that that there was that kind of leaning a bit into where we start getting meta films, and really kind of leaning into the stupidity of the sometimes the characters in horror films, like always like don't run up the stairs, run out the front door, which we saw in Scream 2. That time was Sarah Michelle Gellar running up the stairs, and you're just like, and all the tropes that came with the sort of slasher films of the sort of 70s and the 80s, and just really reinvigorated the franchise. So we're now at number 7, and again, with anything but say the Nightmare on Elm Street, we've kind of had I think the sequel was great. The third, kind of the trilogy of the original Scream was kind of waning a little bit then. 4 was terrible. Then we kind of had the reboot of 5, and then 6 and 5 and 6 were then going to be a new trilogy. There was issues behind the scenes with the sort of lead actress who, spoilers if you haven't seen these, I'm sure you have, because why are you watching a review for Scream 7? But the lead sort of girl that took over from Sydney, she's Billy Loomis's love child. I mean, given he died at 17, how he had time to have a child, I don't know. But anyway, so Scream 7 should have been the roundup of the trilogy, but there was issues behind the scenes. She was let go. Then, because she was let go, Jenna Ortega kind of stepped away. So they kind of then circled back, and the reason that Sydney's character wasn't in 6 was basically they didn't want to pay her enough money. And fair play to Neve Campbell, she's earned her dues. She should get the paycheck she wants. But I guess they offered her a big paycheck this time. And they've kind of, they circled back to sort of Sydney's through line, which does kind of make sense given it's, say, the 30th anniversary. So with all of that, what did I think of the film? I didn't go in with high expectations. I deliberately sort of stayed away from a lot of the reviews because I didn't want spoilers. But even just the gist of some of the headlines, it was, pretty like, So I didn't go with high expectations. Neither did my friend. And I have to say that, look, there's nothing groundbreaking about this Scream 7. It follows, the pattern of all the other Scream films. Some really good jump scares, but it's not really, there's some creative kills, but you're not really getting anything new, so let's just put that out there. However, I will say there's some great Easter eggs in there. Given, say, it's the 30th anniversary, they did kind of lean into the nostalgia of the first couple of films, there's some Easter eggs for you to spot in there. Some they blatantly call out. So there's quite a bit of nostalgia around this one. But overall, it was fun. I think we both had a good time. We enjoyed the film. The reveal of whose Ghostface this time was poor, really poor. And you're a bit like, one of them, because again, not a spoiler, we always know there's two of them, right? So one was really obvious about who it could be, because just so much of the cast had been killed. There really weren't a lot of people left to choose from. So I think they could have been a bit more creative there. And the other one, you're kind of just like, oh, it's them, okay. So I think that is the biggest letdown of this film, is the reveal. They could have been, I think, much cleverer. They could have done something a bit more left field, given it is the 30th anniversary of Scream. Like, they really could have done something, even if it was like bonkers. I think it would have landed better. That you could have really sort of pushed the envelope a little bit and probably got away with it with the 30th anniversary. But overall, say it was fun. That's what I'd say. I enjoyed it. I had a good time, but the reveal was a letdown. But when Ghostface is taken out, it's pretty cool. I will say that. So you kind of got the premise that obviously Sydney's moved on with her life. She's now married, and she's married to like a chief of police in this little town. She has a daughter, Tatum, obviously named after Rose McGowan's character in the original Scream. She was Sydney's best friend, who was killed by in the garage door. Potentially, we don't know whether it was Billy or Stu, but if it was Stu, basically he killed his own girlfriend. But yeah, so she's named after her. So, and Tatum's kind of living in so in previous Scream films, we've always seen like Sydney like living in the arse end of nowhere. She's trying to play down who she is. And in this one, she's embraced, or sort of not embraced it, she's come to terms with her past and that it's never going to leave her. So her daughter's actually kind of now sort of living in the shadow a bit of her sort of infamous mum, who, and everybody's like, everything this woman's been through, she should be in the nut house by now. She should be like Jamie Lee's character in the recently rebooted Halloween series, where she's just like armed to the teeth and, not quite all there, but she's all for the safety. And of course, because of what she's been through, she's a bit of a helicopter parent to Tatum, which obviously winds her up, because her mum's life's so publicized. There's things that she's like, you're not doing that, which, she clearly did, and her daughter knows she did. And she's a bit like, you're just a hypocrite. But obviously she's saying, well, you look how that turned out, so maybe listen to your mum. So there's a little bit of contentiousness between, because Tatum's now 17, so she's the same age that Sydney was when this all started. And as ever, the phone calls start. And then we get some FaceTime, and I think this is not a spoiler now because you can see who's in the cast. So she gets a call from Stu, who we believe died in the first film. Obviously, Billy stabbed him really badly and deeply, and he's like, "Oh, mate, I think you've gone too deep." But ultimately, Sydney drops a TV on his head, so we're pretty sure that Stu was dead. But she's getting these calls from a really badly scarred Stu, who's still completely like out there. And obviously, this sets the path to lots of creative kills. People doing really stupid things still, going, why are you doing that? What are you, it's like, what the hell? So that hasn't changed. But like I say, overall, it was fun. It was enjoyable. The kind of meta aspect that's always in the Scream films, they sort of started a little bit like sort of saying, we had the trilogy, then we had like the reboot. This one, they're like, well, this is like nostalgia. Blah, blah, blah. And then that sort of meta bit was kind of shut down a bit, and just like, oh, like stop going on with the theories, right? This is like part of that. Obviously, Gail Weathers is back, Courtney Cox, and she has a brilliant entrance as always. And two of the characters from 5 and 6, so Chad and Mindy, are now sort of her cameraman and in training Gail Weathers that she wants to, like, you know, but she's a little bit more kind of like influencer, modern media, rather than, you know, traditional journalist. We find out that, you know, Gail's not in a great way. There are other legacy characters that we see, but I will say how the whole Stu thing, Dewey, how all these characters are kind of brought back in does make sense. It's done well. So yeah, you weren't sitting there going, what? it was done, it was all done quite well, and yeah, all kind of tied up and made sense. So you've kind of got Tatum, who's trying to find herself, and, you know, because her mum's so strong and this, you know, survivor, and she's a bit, because I guess because of helicopter parenting, she's not as resilient as her mum. She's a little bit wet at times. You're just like, you know, she's like, oh, I can't do this. You're just like, just get up, you stupid, you know. I don't have time for pathetic females in these films. They drive me nuts, you know, just sitting there screaming. You're like, get your butt up and run, for crying out loud. But anyway, you know, it's all about really sort of, I think it's kind of full circle for Gail and Sydney, and really Tatum finding herself and sort of realizing, you know, who she is. I'd say that Sydney's husband is like when you see this film, he's like the new Dewey. You're just like, how the hell? So yeah, he goes through a lot, shall we say? He goes through a lot in this film. So I think for die-hard Scream fans, I think you'll enjoy it on a kind of nostalgia fun level. If you're coming to this franchise sort of fairly new, or on the back of 5 and 6, you'll probably be a bit, but I mean, it's well documented that this isn't a continuation of those stories, but you might be a bit disappointed that, you know, this is like nothing to do with those ones. I mean, they do reference New York and what happened in New York, but it's very much, you know, there's no mention of you know, what happened to the two girls in that. They're just off doing whatever they're doing, right? So yeah, but I think, you know, that it's good enough. It's good enough. I mean, given you're on 7, it's good enough. But I think the biggest letdown is the reveals of who Ghostface are. So I think they could have done better there. But overall, say I had a good time. It was fun, and that's really all I can say. So are you just like, Scream 7, I'm all right, thanks? Or are you planning on go see it? Have you seen it? Did you enjoy it? Or do you completely disagree, just thinking that was just nonsense? What are you on about, Miss Atomic Blonde? That's fine, but do leave me a comment either way. Love to know your thoughts. I'm sure probably most people, I mean, I think I had the biggest opening, or second biggest opening of any Scream film, so that would suggest the appetite is still there for this franchise. But whether people will feel it's delivered the goods, we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, that's it. They don't really want to spoil it for people, but some good kills, good fun, good way to spend the afternoon. As always, guys, do please like, share, and subscribe. It really does make a difference. I know you hear this from all creators, but it really does. The subscriber count is ticking up ever so slowly, 1 off 100. So if one person could subscribe, that would be amazing. If I can hit that 100, that would be fantastic. So anyway, you will take care now, and I'll be back soon with more reviews and pop culture discussions. Take care now. Bye-bye.